After getting suspicious information, Rui invited them to continue the journey to the mining site on foot. It turns out that there are many residents who work under the company owned by Hurong. In there, they also build villages for mining workers. Unfortunately, the location no longer produces quality materials, and it is at risk of closing the mining site if the sale continues to deficit. Then the possibility of mining will be sold to other entrepreneurs. Hyun is clearly not willing, because this region is a relic of his grandfather, as well as the cremation of his grandfather stocked at the mine site. Then Rui activates the God Eyes, looking deep into the rock hill layer. He sees a mining area that has a lot of red jade. Rui realized something that made him smile. After returning home, Rui explained that if the stone found before the location of the mine, containing good quality jade that might have more stones that have not been found, have good quality, because they are formed from original mineral deposits, carried by the flow of water, that may still be saved. So this speculation must be tried, because if the mines will be sold. Faye suggests that Hyun tries to persuade Hurong to do this plan. In other places, Uncle Joe was calling someone discussing a mining sales contract, while Rui explained the plan to Hurong. But in the next 2 days, Hurong will sign the contract transition because the mine has not made money that continues to increase the company's losses. She is sure with the plan to sell because it will stabilize the company, so that the last choice will undergo a business like Boss Hao, who buys raw materials at the auction before processing and sold. Also, the analysis results from Joe had come out, with results jade in the mine had run out. So Hurong decided to remain on the decision and was not affected by the words of Rui. Hearing this, Rui offers to collaborate, bear the risk together if you suffer losses, or share profits proportionally. Rui believes that this is aware of a broader mining source after knowing a lot of raw stones, although the possibility of only 60% of success in taking risks. Seeing Rui, who was so confident with the plan, then Hurong gave a period of 1 for proof to get a source of jade, and if successful, Rui would get 25% of profits on the first batch. Elsewhere, Hyun told Uncle Joe about Rui's plan, who asked for Hurong to find a source of rough jade in the mine to be sold. Rui also brought the evidence of the stone found to contain purple jade. Hyun suspected that there was someone who had manipulated the mining products, so that Joe felt guilty to think that his employees had made it. Then Joe invited Hyun to go to the lab to examine the jade sample safe. Meanwhile, Rui explained that there was something suspicious because the raw stone material found in the mining area was exactly like the sample studied by Uncle Joe, because it had the same sign. It means that the pieces of the stone were deliberately cut without jade to be used as research samples, because what was found before, it contains good quality purple jade. Hurong suspects that someone wants to manipulate the mining products to cover the truth. If the area still produces quality jade, and she does not accuse Joe, who has committed cheating in this business, then Hurong will immediately find out who the mastermind is. Then, she called a prospective buyer, asking to postpone the mining transition contract for 1 month. The next day, they got news that Hyun had disappeared. Then, Hurong got call that Hyun was currently being held hostage by someone named Bogang, and he was a prospective mining buyer owned by Hurong. What was more surprising was that Uncle Joe turned out to be an intermediary for mining sales that day. Joe had no workplace, making them suspicious. Hurong is now aware of what Rui said was proven to be true if Joe had betrayed, but they could not report the Hyun kidnapping case to the police, because it would be at risk that Hyun would be hurt, and what Bogang wanted was barter, with a mining ownership contract where tomorrow they would meet at Bogang's casino. So Faye and Rui planned to disguise themselves to the casino by trying some clothes to look like a rich tourist couple from China, who initially they were a little awkward, and Huang Yu forced to behave like a real lovers, but still it made them look strange. So Huang Yu gave an example to Faye, how to be an elegant and feminine woman. Finally, they arrived in the casino, looked like a real lovers. While Hurong and Bogang negotiated in other rooms, Rui and Fei entered the casino with many guards. They analyzed looking for a location where Hyun was detained, planning to save him. They give a sign of each location, where the first floor is a gambling place, and the second floor for guests, while in the basement is a location to confine gamblers who cannot pay debts. And surely Hyun is also there, detained by a guard named Kunsha, a cruel gambling enthusiast who was eating expired bread. So Rui was tasked with gambling and Fei to save Hyun. In another room during negotiations between Hurong and Bogang, she saw Joe also there and reminded that Joe had damaged the good relations between them because he could do this. Joe said if he had felt only used because of the fees received too little and the friendly relationship they had been established for 20 years was bullshit. The conversation was stopped by Bogang by directly forcing Hurong to sign a mining ownership contract. Moving to Hyun, who was in the confinement room, Kunsha got the news that there was a gambler who won 6 rounds in a row. Hearing this, then Kunsha will soon find out, before teasing Hyun while going to a laugh crazy. Outside, the two of them seemed anxious. The Pangpei took the initiative to enter the casino to check it. After observing the situation, Fei immediately went to the basement, passing through the hall while changing clothes like a casino servant. And I know if you see something fun. Finally, Fei found a room where Hyun was detained and beat 2 guards carrying a gun. Luckily, Pangpei came to help rescue operations, and they had to leave immediately before other guards came to check. Returning to the negotiation site, Hurong is reading a contract proposal to buy time. This made Joe realize that the woman deliberately stalled time, while someone else rescued Hyun. Fei managed to save Hyun and Rui, still sitting in a gambling place, while Pangpei stole 2 glasses of wine. Suddenly, Kunsha got a call if Hyun had run away from the basement. Then he told the guards to close the exit and was not permitted by anyone to leave the casino, making Fei and Hyun trapped inside. Hurong and Reno were cornered, and when she was about to be arrested, Reno took out the C4 bombing, threatening to blow up the entire building. Before going, Hurong said that they would not do stupid things. When they came down, Reno immediately fought, assisted by Pangpei. Also, Fei helped. In that chaos, some people can get out to save themselves, where Huang Yu is prepared to take them away. Unfortunately, Fei was scratched a bullet in the arm, telling them to run away first. Rui and Hyun are still in trying to calm down, hoping that they are not recognized. But Joe immediately recognized Rui, asking to immediately catch him, because he had damaged their plans. Meanwhile, Pangpei reminded not to return to the casino to help them, or it would only disrupt the initial plan because Bogang did not recognize Rui. But Hurong was pessimistic because there was Joe there. Rui and Hyun managed to get out of the casino immediately into the car to run away, but they chased him. Fei came out of hiding, trying to seize motorbikes and try to follow them, resulting in chasing on the streets. Hurong was very worried, asking to return there, but according to Reno back there, would only meet deaths. Then, Pangpei received instructions if Rui had escaped through a traditional market. After a far enough, suddenly, Rui looked dizzy, making Hyun worried. But he had to find a way to run away with a plan. Gang of Kunsha was finally able to catch up, but both of them were no longer in the car and were already gone. Then Kunsha saw the blood, realized that Rui was injured. who might be hit by a shot when before he tried to escape from the casino and would not go far. Rui was very exhausted as well as a wound on his feet. So Rui told Hyun to follow the road ahead, while Rui would separate following another way to distract them. Initially, Hyun did not agree, but Rui was sure this was for the sake of the safety of the two of them. Hyun finally left to seek help. They had arrived at home. Reno explained that, after getting information if they only found the car, there was also a trace of blood. It seemed that they had not yet been caught, because the Kunsha horde was still looking for the existence of both. Huang Yu is still not calm, and plans to go to save Rui, but Hurong prevents because it will show the power to mobilize everyone to fight Kansha. Suddenly, Huan appeared alone, surprised them. Huan asked to save Rui, who was still there in an injured condition, while Faye arrived at the location to find blood there. Huang Yu and Pang Pei will still go looking for Rui to ask Hurong to lend his men. But Hurong prevented, because he had promised Rui to look after his friends. And finally, they had to stop after being held by weapons. Then, they were detained in the room with 2 armed guards. In despair, Hung Yu was upset because Hurong did not know the favor, when they were wasted because Rui was currently in danger, while Faye was unknown. This is a dilemma because initially Hurong against Bogang kidnapped Huan, but now she has no reason to fight Bogang. So both must be able to leave that place by way of acting to distract and immediately defeat the 2 guards. After that, they left and met with Hyun, who supported the plan to rescue Rui, also gave some tactical weapons. Huang Yu regretted why he did not take the rifle belonging to the 2 guards. Before leaving, Hyun gave a map of the last location from Rui before the 2 separated. While at mansion, Bingbing met with Boss Hao and told about the problem where Rui was being pursued by gangster Bogang. Bingbing asked Boss Hao to send his men to help him. But Boss Hao did not want to be involved, because it was a problem with the Hurong family. He was sure Rui would definitely survive. On the other hand, Bingbing was also disappointed with the cowardly actions taken by Hurong, because she should be able to help Rui, hoping to give consideration if the situation was getting worse, and would make Chin's family plan disrupted. Then Boss Hao advised to remain calm, not to give a decision that made Bingbing a little disappointed. In the feeling of restless, Bingbing remembered Miniature Grasshopper from Rui, also remembered when they first met showed a moment where Rui was very concerned about Bingbing. Then, it looks she will go somewhere. Elsewhere, Faye woke up from fainting in a house in a village. She heard that there were many people outside and found the bodies surrounded by residents. When it was opened, it was not Rui. Then Faye met the person who saved him, and the person said that Faye was found fainting on the edge of the forest. Then, the person requested that Faye temporarily settle at his house until the right time. After the residents left, unexpectedly, Rui survived in the same place. Faye was very happy to see Rui in good condition, even though a little injured. But strangely, Rui did not recognize this girl, making Faye confused, and it seemed like Rui amnesia was also like being exhausted, and his head was very painful, that he finally fainted. Huang Yu and Pang Pei arrived at the map and found that the blood marks were almost dry. According to Pang Pei, the wounded was not too dangerous, but would be fatal if they were out of blood. Then they immediately went in the direction of the blood trail. Rui began to realize, but her legs still sick, made her experience an infection accompanied by a fever. Faye approached carrying a glass of water, but Rui still did not recognize who this girl was, and Rui was not joking with it. Then Faye gave an apple, hoping to remember they met at the hospital. For a moment, Rui began to remember, even though he was still vague about all the previous events. Then, Rui tried to go back to sleep. Faye looked very anxious because in his heart, she loved Rui, also remembered the moment when they were trapped in a tomb, underground, buried inside, and Rui who had saved him. Even other memories that made him very happy when with Rui. But until now, Faye still could not thank all those things that might have been forgotten by Rui, and she promised to bring Rui back to Beijing.
但是你现在记不得了。
Then Faye realized the homeowner left in a hurry. Faye was suspicious and secretly followed from behind to a house. She found several people working. Then the person spoke to the village head, telling the condition of two strangers who were in his house. And the village head said that if they were strangers, it would not be a problem if they died.